I'm going to start this off by saying that I, 32M, sincerely believe my girlfriend, 30F, is a hardworking and intelligent woman who absolutely deserves the success she has achieved in her life. We have been together for 6 years. When I first met her, she wasn't struggling or anything like that, but she was working in a job that she hated. Around the time I met her, she wanted to go back to school to get her master's degree, but was struggling with the decision because she was worried about taking on more student debt. To keep a long story short, once our relationship got serious enough, I offered to move her in with me at no cost to her until she was able to complete her master's degree and land a job. We were able to make it work, and she landed what she considers a dream job shortly after graduating. That was about a year ago. A couple of days ago, she decided to make a long-winded social media post about how proud she is of herself for how far she's come so far in life. For the most part, it was just harmless fluff, but one part of her post that rubbed me the wrong way was where she threw in a few sentences of how she was a self-made woman who, despite all struggles, managed to provide everything for herself, and that she's proud that she doesn't need to rely on a man. Not only were these statements factually incorrect, it felt like a slap in the face that she wanted to speak about her life without acknowledging me or my contributions to her life at all. While she studied to improve her life, I provided her with a place to live and food on the table so she wouldn't have to worry about it. Although she did work as a teaching assistant while studying, I encouraged her to use it as her fun money and for additional expenses. Although my expenses didn't increase dramatically by moving her in, we didn't move somewhere bigger/more expensive. I still made sacrifices on my end so that she could put herself through school as comfortably as possible. I commented directly on the post, "Did you forget about the boyfriend who paid the bills while you did your master's degree? Am I chopped liver?" As I expected, I got absolutely slammed with replies and DMs calling me every insult in the book. She herself was livid at the comment and called me an asshole, among other things, for posting it, telling me that it was completely unnecessary and demanded an apology. I refused to apologize, but told her that I would retract the comment if she edited her post to at least get rid of the "I don't need no man" stuff that I felt was unnecessary. After arguing a bit back and forth, she packed a bag and went to stay with a friend because she needed some space. I'm conflicted about what to think about this situation myself. I know this is just social media, and I admit that I did write that comment as a knee-jerk reaction, but I'm also bothered that she decided to react this way instead of having a mature conversation about this.
Comment 1, NTA. As far as I'm concerned, if someone lies publicly, you're never the asshole for telling the truth in response. Especially in a situation when she was comfortable using you financially for years, then pretending she did it all alone. She's the R for that. But that's not really the point. Was your goal to be right or to continue this relationship? BC embarrassing her publicly is not a smart move unless your goal was to end the relationship. Comment 2. You didn't embarrass her publicly though, she embarrassed you. She doesn't take responsibility for her own actions and blames you for reacting as any person would that supported their partner, man or woman, who feels slighted by the Facebook post originally, NTA. And if you don't realize yet, she doesn't appreciate any of the other sacrifices you made either. I'm sure she feels it was the least you could do. Comment 3. Wait. She wrote she was able to provide everything for herself while living rent-free in your house? Bruh. Unless she's saying finding a sugar daddy to provide housing was an intentional strategy on her part, then she certainly did not do it all on her own. Now she could say something like, having seen firsthand what it took to get her, I know I could have done it all by myself, and that's a great feeling. However, I'm grateful I didn't have to do it alone and that I had the support of my parents, boyfriend, and friends or something along those lines. NTA. I have 2 sisters, I'm the middle sister. My older sister, OS, lost her son late 2022, so it hasn't even been 2 years yet. He passed at 6 months due to SIDS. My older sister has been mourning him ever since. My little sister, LS, is pregnant with her first child now, and she found out it's a boy. When I was over at her house, we were talking about her plans for the pregnancy and the baby, and she told me she plans to name her son the name of my older sister deceased son and keep it a surprise. I can tell she thought it was an honor thing, but knowing my older sister, she would be devastated if that happened. I told my little sister I don't think it's a good idea and that our older sister would not find it to be sweet and an honor, it would hurt her even more. We argued about it and she said that in being dramatic. Even though I know it was supposed to be a surprise, I knew my older sister would be even more depressed than she already is if our little sister named her son after her deceased son, so I went against my little sister's wishes and told my older sister. As I expected, she was pissed. She said it was incredibly disgusting and selfish to do that, knowing how fresh it is for her, and that she does not want to see a baby with her son's name in the family, which I agreed with. She was very grateful that I told her before he was born, because she said she doesn't know how badly that would have triggered her. She of course confronted my little sister and they argued about it for a while, with everyone in our family siding with my older sister. My little sister called me in tears, saying in the reason that my older sister cut her off and isn't speaking to her because she's still going to name her son after our nephew, even with my older sister begging her not to, saying that she doesn't find it an honor and that it would hurt her to see another child named after her deceased one. I told my little sister she's a horrible person for still going through with this, knowing how much it hurts our older sister. She says I'm in a hole for telling her, since it was supposed to be a surprise at birth, and that seeing her nephew with her son's name would make her realize it's a good thing and she's just trying to be a good person, and I'm in a hole for making them fight. Comment 1. NTA, your little sister isn't dealing with the consequences of her own actions well and is blaming you. You didn't do anything wrong. You explained to her it was a bad idea, she's still going through with it. Your older sister is extremely upset by this and your family is upset by this, and your little sister is still doing it. Also, losing a child is traumatic and heartbreaking, and it would have absolutely been so much worse if your older sister came and saw your nephew and your little sister said the name of her deceased child, found out you were aware of this and didn't say anything. Comment 2. My cousin lost a son to SIDS last August. The 1-year anniversary was on the 2nd, and I could never imagine naming a baby after her son. Even if I didn't know him personally, it still feels insensitive, and she'd aboutly be crushed but quietly, cuz she's very non-confrontational. And that's my cousin, not even immediate family like my sister. Comment 3. NTA. You did the right thing by telling your older sister. Naming the baby after her deceased son, especially so soon, is an incredibly sensitive issue. It's not just about honoring him, it's about respecting your older sister's grief and emotional boundaries. Your little sister's intentions might have been good, but she's disregarding your older sister's feelings and trauma. You acted as a mediator, and it's understandable that you wanted to prevent more pain. Your older sister has every right to feel hurt, and it's not fair to dismiss her emotions. This isn't about drama, it's about empathy. Me, 26F, and my husband, 32M, had a baby in July of 2023. We had announced a little before Christmas of 22 that we were expecting, and our families were ecstatic at the news. I have always wanted to be a mom, since I was a small child. My father-in-law was so ecstatic at the news that he gifted us $4,000 for Christmas to help with medical bills and for the baby. My father-in-law is a half owner of a multi-state, multi-million-dollar business, of which my husband is slated to take over with his sister sometime next year. In our state, it is a requirement to have a social security number prior to opening a bank account, which my daughter in utero did not have. Therefore, it was agreed to enter the money in our joint account until after our daughter was born. I don't monitor this joint account because it's at my husband's bank, not mine. To pay for medical costs associated with her birth, I had used my HSA, covering the full amount by myself. I also created her a bank account through my bank, which my husband was supposed to be a trustee on, but failed to sign the paperwork in time, so my dad was designated instead. Today, while driving home from an event, I asked about the $4,000, considering our daughter is a year old, and asked for permission to withdraw the funds and enter it into our daughter's legitimate account. My husband started claiming that I already used the money for medical bills, and that I cashed it into my personal account. I told him that I did not do that and showed him my account from that time period. He said that if it was in the joint account it is gone, and that he used it towards hunting land, which I didn't give the okay to drop that money towards. He then called me ridiculous for even bringing it up, and that our baby isn't entitled to that money as it was for medical expenses and care of her which he barely pays anything towards. I pay 75% of daycare costs, and all of grocery bills including formula/milk, and the baby is covered under my healthcare plan as his health plan is awful from his family's business. We split our mortgage 50-50, but I was the one who paid for the entire down payment. The whole situation was brought up when it did, as I am beginning to struggle to make ends meet, and have been unable to transfer money every paycheck to our daughter's account. I've been putting $150 away a paycheck, as I want to be able to help her get a car/go to college if she so chooses. I explained this, and my husband accused me of blowing through the money again and refuses to check. I told him that I wasn't asking, I was telling him that he needs to check and that he needed to figure out where the money went. Comment 1. So you are married to an entitled, narcissistic R. He doesn't pull his weight in the house financially or physically. Why are you with him? At least without him you wouldn't have extra work around a home and would get child support. Sorry, but sometimes it's better to be a single divorced parent. He doesn't deserve you. I would get a lawyer and make him either buy me out of the house or pay me for what he has put in with his 50% of mortgage payments and send him on his way. Comment 2. And depending on local laws she might be able to have that $4,000 counted against him when the marital property/assets are divided in the divorce, as in deducted from his half as money he attempted to steal from their mutual assets. Financial infidelity is a thing, and it includes using joint funds for personal purposes without confirming with your spouse. It's taken very seriously if it happens just before a divorce, because many spouses can do that on purpose when they realize their partner is about to leave them as a form of abuse. OP should get a divorce lawyer ASAP. I, 28M, have been married to my wife, 27F, for 2 years now. Financially we've both been struggling a bit in the past years, but our situation is mostly fine now, even though we still live a relatively modest life and we can't afford to casually go to expensive trips in other countries. Even our honeymoon was only a trip to a beach from our country where we've been already, and even that costed us quite a lot. My wife's older brother, 33M, is definitely much wealthier than us and is known for spoiling his now fiancée, 30F, with gifts and expensive trips. My wife definitely commented a couple of times on it, and I could feel she was secretly jealous about it. She and her brother are definitely very close to each other, and he helped us quite a bit during the times we were struggling financially, and he even allowed her to be a bridesmaid at his wedding, even though my wife and my Bill's fiancé aren't really close. Yesterday my Bill announced in front of their family that he wants to reward his sister for putting so much effort into planning his wedding by full-on paying for both of us to go together with him and his fiancée on their honeymoon in Paris for a full week. Before I could say anything my wife immediately accepted it and hugged her brother, but then his fiancée started going at him about inviting us to their honeymoon without discussing it with her beforehand, and my Bill defended himself by saying he just wanted to help his sister experience something she can't do on her own. They were arguing when my wife suddenly intervened and told his brother's fiancée to stop acting like such an entitled brat, cause not everyone's as lucky as her to have a wealthy enough partner to support them. Bill's fiancée started yelling at my wife about how she's just a leech to her brother who took over her wedding and now wants to invade her honeymoon too. I eventually got my wife out of there, and on the way out I told her that maybe it'd be better for us to refuse going on my Bill's honeymoon as his fiancé's clearly uncomfortable with it. She asked me if I was an idiot for wanting to pass up a trip to Paris for free, that she worked way too hard to convince her brother to invite us for her to back up from it now. I told her that maybe she can arrange something else for us, and I don't want to be the reason a marriage falls apart, but my wife told me their marriage is not our business but theirs, and if it falls apart it'd be only my Bill's fiancé's fault. I told my wife I want no part in this and I won't be going on this shared honeymoon, and she started arguing with me about how she can't believe I'll act this way when she only did this for us, and said that she'll take her brother's offer without me if she has to. We ended up sleeping in different beds, and even today's my wife's still giving me the cold shoulder. Comment 1. NTA. You're right that this situation is wrong and your wife is acting aggressive and strange to you and her future Sil. A honeymoon is for the bride and groom. Sit everyone down, thank your bill, apologize to your bill's fiancé, if your wife refuses to do so, and suggest to go on a 4-person trip sometime after their honeymoon. Comment 2. NTA. Your wife is showing a really ugly side of herself. There's no way that, underneath, she doesn't know that what she is doing is wrong. She is in full-on denial because she both wants to exploit her brother and doesn't want to feel bad about herself, which means that she has to tell herself that what she is doing is just fine and that anyone opposing her or getting in her way is the R, that means Sil and now you.